Yeah. So while you're sleeping tonight.
Is it an Odyssey Company holiday? Because
I know we're going to be here. Yeah, we're going to be. Yeah. So, but Alex Pavlovic won't because he's going to be busy covering the Aaron Judge press conference on Friday, aren't you, Alex? Isn't that what you're doing on Friday?
If there's an Aaron Judge press conference on Friday, I probably will not be there.
Okay. Oh, why? What are you doing on Friday?
Not planning for that. So, yeah, no, it's I think we go back to where we were 2-3 years ago, where the winter meetings are kind of the big event. We're a month from that, so I'll just say I don't even know that his agent is in Las Vegas for the GM meetings right now. So it's going to be a while.
Yeah, they're going to wait, right? They're going to wait and sort of let the landscape play out. But let's start with this. Alex Pavlovic, our Giants insider, with us here on Willard and Dibs. Is there too much bluster right now? It has been made to feel for a Giants fan like they're getting everybody. And this is so opposite of the way the Giants normally talk, and I know it hasn't come from them. But what's your perspective on the expectations that have been built this winter?
Yeah, there's way too much bluster. And it's not, I think a little bit of it is coming from them. Like, certainly we even heard it from Greg Johnson. Like, he said, we know about the guy in the Bronx, we know about the shortstops. A little bit of it is coming from them saying they expect to go big. But, there are different shades of going big. And I think this is, everybody kind of looks at it and goes, yeah, they have all this money coming off the books. Well, Johnny Cueto came off the books last year. Buster Posey retired. That's, $46 million right there. They've had other guys. Like, it's not like they had to wait until this offseason to spend. They've had other opportunities to spend and haven't done it. So I think when people look at it, I saw an article yesterday that predicted they're going to, be the Rangers of this offseason and spend $500 million. And I'm like, that's it. There's a lot of room between 1 and 2 year deals for starting pitchers and, $500 million. So I think people do need to temper expectations a little bit. I fully expect them to be on Judge. I think, Correa and Turner make a lot of sense. They need another high-end starting pitcher, but I see some of these reports where people say they're going to go out and get 2 or 3 guys, and I'm like, that would be a huge departure from everything they've done the last 3-4 years.
Especially when it comes to pitchers, and I know Carlos Rodon has opted out. Many Giants fans would love for him to return. Would you imagine that he's getting too many years for him to be a fit with Farhan and the Giants?
Yeah, I think too many years and too much, overall money. I mean, he's probably looking at, like, the baseline for him is 110, 115, which is what Kevin Gausman and Robbie Ray got last winter. So, and he's better than those guys. And, he's coming into a market with no lockout and a bunch of big market teams from the Yankees to Bruce Bochy's Rangers, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Cubs, who need a front-end starting pitcher or who have talked about going out and getting another starter. So for me, he's probably looking at 140, 150. He's probably looking at least 5 years, maybe 6 or 7, if he wants to stretch it that far. Like, in my mind, he's gone. I think the Giants will probably say they're still involved and we'll keep tabs on him. But for me, they're probably going to be ready to move on. And look, they did this with Gausman last year. They said, thank you for 2 great years. We're not interested in a 5-year deal. If you want to come back for like 2, that's fine. But if you want to go get 5, go get it somewhere else, and we'll go find a replacement. And they did it.
Alex Pavlovic, our Giants insider, with us, Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Okay, Alex, you mentioned a couple of shortstops. And yes, Greg Johnson brought it up. There's Trey Turner, there's Correa, there's more. Oh, by the way, there's Brandon Crawford. Are the Giants in on shortstops? And if they get one, what do they do?
It is, for me, aside from Judge, it's the biggest question of the offseason because, and you guys have heard it over the last couple months, like the one thing that Farhan has said over and over again is we need to get more athletic up the middle. And they needed to do it this year. And in a world with no shifts, it's going to be even more important. So they would love to go out there and get someone who can, be a true center fielder and move Mike Yastrzemski to right and Austin Slater to left or to the corners, whatever they want to do with those guys. They would love to go out there and upgrade at second base and use Tyro Estrada all over the place. And they would love to just be stronger up the middle. And I think they have kind of said, like, we respect everything Brandon Crawford has done. He's a great shortstop. At the same time, like, you have to be open to all options. And you look at this year's free agency, and when you put Judge aside and you put Brandon Nimmo aside, it's pretty much all shortstop at the top. So I think they have to be involved with those guys. I think they will be involved with those guys. It's a very awkward question because Brandon Crawford is their most popular player. He is not too far removed from being, an MVP candidate. He would like to remain at shortstop. He has one more year left on his deal, and if that's it for him as a Giant, I think he would love to finish it never doing anything but play shortstop. But it kind of depends who it is. Like, Trey Turner can play second base. He can play center field. If that ends up being the guy, for me, that's a pretty easy fit. They chased Trevor Story last offseason with kind of the same idea that he could play second base and maybe move to shortstop down the line whenever Crawford is done. But if it's Carlos Correa, he's a year removed from a Gold Glove, and he's going to get, $240, $260, $300 million. Do you do that and then say you can't play shortstop for a year? It's a really awkward question, and I think, Judge aside, that is the biggest part of the offseason for him.
It's interesting because Brandon Crawford has played 1,525 games, all at shortstop. Nary an inning anywhere else, which is incredibly rare. Outside of the free agent period, which is getting underway, how about the prospects, Alex? Who can we look at come March and April, players that we can actually look forward to seeing with the big club?
Yeah, Kyle Harrison's very well known, and he's going to be in AAA to start the year. And I think they have to be careful with him because he hasn't thrown a whole lot of innings and is still very young. So, I think it's going to be a slow start for him next year, and then hopefully they get him really in. I think they would love to have him in the rotation in the second half. And we saw some of the teams this year that were in the postseason were throwing rookies out there in postseason series and having a lot of success with it. So he's kind of head and shoulders above everybody else. The other guy, and I think a lot of Giants fans are coming around on him and starting to realize how good he is Casey Schmidt, who's really potentially a Gold Glove caliber third baseman and had a very good year at the plate, showed a lot of improvement. And, he reached AA. He did briefly reach AAA. It's more like a AA situation for him right now, but he's not far away, and he's potentially an option in the second half. And, I would expect today or in the next, few hours, we'll learn something about Evan Longoria and what they want to do there. But no matter what they do at third, Schmidt is right now the long-term answer there. And, I've talked to scouts who say he's the best minor league third baseman defensively that they've seen since, Matt Chapman and Nolan Arenado. So, that's kind of what we're talking about here. And he is a guy who I think will come into spring training and have a lot of eyes on him. And there's going to be a lot of talk about, how soon is he going to be ready? Because they have a lot of guys who can play third, but aside from Longoria, those guys are a little bit miscast defensively.
Alex, let's talk Judge, okay? The Willard and Dibs excursion is happening tomorrow. We're calling it Judgment Day as free agency begins. We are doing our show live in Linden, California, because we want to do our part. We are sending a message to Aaron. If it takes us going out there to get him and bring him back to Third and King, we are willing to do that. Are we at the forefront, or are we totally stupid? Your thoughts?
Well, I've heard there's a great Pizza Hut there, so I don't know if you guys are doing it, but that's one thing I've heard about Linden. I haven't been out there, but no, I think, look, it's going to be at least for the next month, like the focus of the offseason. I wrote a Judge story yesterday. I wrote a Judge story this morning. I talked to Brian Cashman yesterday about him. It is really front and center for him, and when I say, the way we started with it is this offseason being overblown a little bit, not in terms of Judge. He is exactly what they need. He is exactly what they need on the field, off the field. It's really a perfect fit, except for the fact that he is, this is like somebody coming in, this is like the Braves coming in and saying, hey, Buster Posey's from Georgia, let's pry him away from the Giants. That's what the Giants are trying to do here with Aaron Judge, who is the face of the franchise in New York. He is by far their best player and their most important player. Everything that he would do for the Giants, he does for them tenfold. He likely will be named captain if he goes back and kind of take over for Derek Jeter in that respect. So it's going to be fascinating. I think most people still think he's going back to New York, but you'll also find most people will say that if he doesn't go to New York, San Francisco is probably next in line. And so I think you guys have good reason to go to Linden. It might be a month early, but you can let me know how it is.
All right, no, we're setting the table. Alex, you slyly just kind of threw that in there that you spoke to Brian Cashman yesterday. Did you come away with the sense that they think they can keep him?
I think they are cautiously optimistic. I think, I think they feel like they're going to do everything in their power to bring him back. And But at the same time, like, free agency can get weird. Like we saw it last year with Freddie Freeman. You never know what happens when a guy gets into a meeting and you know, if Aaron meets with Farhan and Gabe Kapler and Buster Posey and whatever else they do in that meeting, and they start to think about coming home. So Brian Cashman has said over and over again, he's the priority. They would love to get it done quickly. They would love to you know, he said yesterday, I'd love to wave a magic wand and have this be over and have Aaron Judge be in pinstripes forever. But, you know, they did kind of screw this up a little bit a few months ago, and it was a very fair offer that they made, but I don't think they saw this season coming from him, and they let him get to the open market, and you just never know when that happens. So I think they're cautiously optimistic, but they understand that, I mean, they're under a lot of pressure over the next month, and there's a lot that is out of their hands.
And the fact that they publicized the offer that he turned down, I'm sure rankled him significantly. If you talk to Cashman again, let him know, we out here at Willard and Dibs, we're going the extra mile. What are you doing, Cashman?
Well, he has a lot to worry about right now. He's not even under contract. So,
good point.
It's kind of a weird time for him. But, yeah, I will say about the contract thing, I thought he actually had a great explanation of that, which is that he told Judge's agent like a week earlier that this is going to get out no matter what. That's just the reality of sports these days. It's going to be, you know, 20 minutes before Ken Rosenthal or Jeff Passan or John Heyman or somebody, you know, gets somebody to spill the beans. So I might as well just get it out there and we'll be honest about it. So I don't know that that's going to be a huge deal, but certainly, I mean, there's a big draw from San Francisco for other respects. So I think they probably understand that there's a little bit to be worried about as they head into free agency here, but yeah, that was how he felt.
Alex, you said you expect some sort of Evan Longoria clarity today?
Yeah, I mean, at least in terms of his option, it has to be decided by tomorrow. So we will talk to either Farhan or Pete this afternoon here at the GM meetings, and it's the National League's turn. So I don't know that they'll have an answer for us right away, but yeah, I think we will probably find out today at some point what they're planning to do there. They do, you know, they have that $13 million option with a $5 million buyout that they have to decide on.
Alex, we know that there are Woj bombs in the NBA. Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter have the NFL. Have you prepped a name for when the Giants make a big signing this offseason for your tweets when you break that news?
Yeah, the name's probably like, what did Jeff Passan say? Let me try to follow it up.
There you go.
There you go.
Pavlovic's Passan retweets. How about that?
Yeah, it's going to be a quote tweet of, oh my God, the Giants actually did it.
And have you ever thought about a blog as a nod to Pavlov's dog, Pavlov's blog?
You know what? I actually, years ago when I was just a little kid trying to figure out what to do and write sports, that was like always in the back of my head, and then went corporate. But yeah, I've had that thought before.
I love it.
There's your
Great
retweet.
minds think alike.
Yeah, it's Pavlovic's Pavlovician response. That's what we're
okay.
That's what we're gonna go with. Alex, thanks you.
Alex.
Yeah, enjoy the meetings, and if you want to find out more about Linden, you call us. Okay.
I will be in touch with you. I'd love to know more about Linden.
Perfect. All right, there he
See you
goes.
there.
That's our
9 to
Giants
noon.
insider, Alex Pavlovic.